Welcome back to Clay Pigeon for the Rotax Max O-Plate British Open final. Earlier I spoke to the man on the WC Plate kart, the Wessex champion, Tom Martin. Tom, you were the club champion here in Rotax Max last season, won the Wessex Championships here as well, so you've got some good history here. But if you want to win a meeting, I guess this is the meeting you really want to win with the World Finals ticket on offer.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, to have a big grid of over 40 karts is major, because it's just Rotax World Finals, only get one opportunity to go, never happen again, so got to be in it to win it and see what happens.
And you've never been to the World Finals before, I guess?
I've been outside of Dorset, so no. But, well, furthest I've been is about an hour away, so yeah.
Okay, so most of your karting then is done here at this circuit, going back how long? When did you start?
I started on my novice plates about 3 years ago. I've done one full season, which was last year, and managed to win it, so yeah.
That's very unusual. How old are you now?
I'm 24. So.
Okay, so it's pretty unusual. What was your history with karting then? You start in corporate karting?
My brother's been racing for about 11 years. He got me into sport, really. And I used to play a bit of football and stuff and managed to get into it a couple of years ago. So.
Okay, well, interesting story. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
A man clearly there with the skills to pay the bills. Here's the Rotax Max O-Plate final here at the Rotax Festival. Kieran Gifford and Charlie Turner on the front row, with Thomas Martin and James Johnson on the second. Ethan Haynes, Spencer Barrow, Ryan Luscombe, Luke Oliver, Dominic Shepherd and James Moorcroft in the top 10. Miles Apps will start on the 12th position mark. The rain is getting very heavy, as you can see, and obviously as you can hear as well. My money on this one, Matt Duffett. He started 22nd in the last race. He's only starting 21st for this one. Surely it's going to be nice and easy. But the winner of this one, don't forget, goes through to the Rotax Max World Championships. Here we go, and nobody can see a thing. It is an absolutely disastrous start for anybody who's not in first or second place. And already Charlie Turner slips down to third position, that is. So as they tiptoe their way through, James Johnson gets an absolute cracker into second position, tucked in behind Kieran Gifford. Here we go, Hans Hairpin for the first time. Count the drivers that go off the circuit. Mind you, to be fair to them, everybody seems to be picking their way through without too much incident. And it doesn't look as though anybody's gone off this time. They're all on wet tyres, of course. They know the conditions. The rain is only getting heavier. And this is going to be one heck of a tough challenge for everybody. So they complete the first lap. The rain, as you can hear, is absolutely pounding down. And the race leader, Kieran Gifford, is just getting himself settled into a rhythm. But the man right behind him there in second place, challenging. Now here comes the Wessex champion, Tom Martin, still there in the top four. Currently running in fourth position, the 32, Spencer Barrow, in there in fifth position at the moment. They work their way through the S's, down the Sterney Straight, and into Hans Hairpin. This is where we've seen so many dramas already. There are yellow flags down at the moment through Hans Hairpin and through the horseshoe. So clearly we've lost somebody. I'm not sure who it is, to be fair. Looks as though Bradley Shepherd has failed to motor around the circuit. Go for the lead! Goodness me, there's barely any space at all. But James Johnson has squeezed through. James Johnson has taken the lead. The Dan Harlan racing driver has got himself into the lead in the smallest possible gap in the history of Clay Pigeon. You can barely fit through two karts through there at top bend, but he's made it stick. And as the field works its way through, Johnson is now trying to clear off and disappear out into the lead. Gifford in second. He's got pressure at the moment from the 5 of Charlie Turner. Look at that, that's absolutely appalling. We're dangerously close to Suzuka 1994 F1 weather here. This is absolutely apocalyptic. Do not be too surprised to see Noah's Ark drifting through the picture in the background. But here we go, the battle for third as the 5, Charlie Turner, has got the WC Wessex champion, Thomas Martin. Look, that looks like James Johnson is actually gesticulating to the officials. Come on, we can't keep racing in this. But that's exactly what they're going to do. They're all on wet tyres. They all know the dangers. They all know how tough it is to race in these conditions. These guys are not kids. Let them race. They are men. They will do it. So down the straight, into the top corner, Hans Hairpin. Still this great tussle for third position. They nudge each other. Charlie Turner having a bit of a scrap there with the Wessex man, Thomas Martin, Wessex champion. WC still fighting his way through to the podium as everybody tiptoes their way through to see if you can pick out a driver, see if you can pick out a number on a card. It's almost impossible as they work their way around. But Thomas Martin there for Team Martin Motorsport, running well in fourth position, still very much in contention for the rostrum. Goodness me, just trying to pick out carts, I can't do it. I've never had this little vision at a karting meeting before, just looking into the spray. There's the 56 tiptoeing around though. Peter Griffin trying to work his way around. One of the best named racing drivers I've ever heard, Peter Griffin. Yep, just let the Family Guy jokes do the rounds. Here we go, into the hairpin, there's number 6, working his way through, James Johnson, still out in front. Second position now is the 5. Charlie Turner's got back through. So Turner has made his way past Kieran Gifford. The one-time leader now slips down to 3rd position as the racers absolutely swim their way around the clay pigeon circuit.
Lanigorse Park about 4 years ago, we had a camera go down because there was so much water coming through the rain bag into the camera, and we're risking that again here. These are similar sort of conditions we had that day, but I think these are worse. We didn't expect it to be this bad. We thought there was going to be a bit of rain later in the day, but that's what it was, a bit of rain.
Oh, Gifford up the inside there of Martin. So Gifford makes the move on the inside of Martin. Martin manages to fight back though. Martin gets the blaze back. Anybody who watches these programmes regularly and wonders, it's a shame we haven't got the drone out. Why haven't we got any pictures from the air? Just look at it. That's why. There's no chance of flying a drone in this. You'll probably disappear into the mire. Anyway, Martin still hanging on to that 3rd position in front of Kieran Gifford. Here comes the 21 trying to make the move. James Moorcroft started P10. That was a cheeky little manoeuvre up the inside there from the 61 moving forward, I think. I think that was the 61 anyway. My goodness, really tough to pick out these karts from a distance now in the wet. Look at Johnson sliding in a straight line, and Martin very nearly chucked out to the chicken house by the kart as it goes up and over the curbs. Now down the inside, the 21. James Moorcroft makes the move to 4th place.
James Johnson out front is doing well to maintain the gap. James Johnson, one of the more popular charismatic drivers in the paddock. I say charismatic, he's a little bit shy to be fair.
Oh, that was close. That was the 88 of Gilbert getting a little bit tangled up with the 33 there of Aidan Lee. Both of those, of course, through from the repechage. Now, where is Matt Duffett? He had an easy time of it last time, 22nd to 1st, no trouble. I'm expecting him to win this one at a canter. But, well, he's really struggling, to be fair. It's a lot different, the conditions, compared to earlier on. Oh, look, Johnson, he's having to change lines, James Johnson, about 2 or 3 times down the straight.
He's braking on the inside down the straight before he gets to the turn, gets his braking over and done with, moves to the outside line and goes round the outside of the turn, but not through that corner, obviously. You can see a different line being taken there by Turner in second. 2.07 seconds is the gap. Can he maintain it, James Johnson? And I say he's one of the most popular. This will be a very, very popular win if Johnson can take this and get a ticket to the World Championships. He is very popular around the paddock, James Johnson. You very rarely see him involved in any major incidents. Top drivers at the top level will from time to time be involved in incidents, but James Johnson is not a name you often associate with being involved in collisions with other drivers. Thomas Turner, another quality name in 2nd place, but he will be very frustrated that he just can't seem to close the gap.
My fairy tale is not going to come true, Alan, I'm afraid. I've just spotted Matt Duffett's car parked up at the S's. His brilliant weekend has sadly come to a close.
But he's got to reflect on a great drive in that repechage race. So I don't care what you say, Jake. I know it was just the repechage to get through to this grand final, but any time you go from 22nd,
there he
that
is.
was his kart there, just going into the S's. Any time you can go from 22nd to win. Oh, Johnson's heart would have been in his mouth there, going into Hans' hairpin, nearly lost it. He's got to hold on to it.
And nearly lost the World Championships, of course. That would have been an absolutely disastrous end to his race by so far ahead of the 5 of Charlie Turner.
You'd never forgive yourself. But I tell you what, the man impressing me, Thomas Martin, interviewed him earlier, Jake. For somebody with so little experience, is not a name that's been on my radar, it's not been in the British Championship, but he might want to be having to think about that for next year. So he's certainly got the skills. Well, I say that at this circuit, obviously, but as he said in his interview earlier on, he's hardly ever been outside Dorset. So to go on a trip up to Larkhall in Scotland, maybe 9 hours, that'd be like going abroad to him.
Certainly would. Just look at the conditions here. The man in 3rd position, Thomas Martin, we've already mentioned him, but how he's able to compete with the likes of James Johnson and Charlie Turner, who have been racing in the world of British karting since they were yay high to a grasshopper, is absolutely phenomenal. Racing in the sport for 1 year and he's on their level. He's only about 3 seconds behind the race leader, James Johnson. Charlie Turner, 2.7 seconds behind the man leading. Martin still giving pressure. We've got to go to a commercial break, I'm afraid, but we will be back. Don't go away. You rejoin us at the Rotax Festival, the inaugural running of it at the Clay Pigeon Karting Lake. Sorry, Clay Pigeon Karting Club. It is absolutely torrential, the conditions here, as the rain is really sorting out the men from the boys. That man, James Johnson, still tiptoeing his way around the circuit, finding all of the convenient racing lines to go around. He's still got a little bit of pressure, though, from the 5 of Charlie Turner. If anything, in fact, Turner is destroying his lead.
He's just closed in by 9/10 of a second in the middle part of this lap. But does he come through the final turn? That is Johnson on the 6, then Turner on the 5.
I think he's lost a bit of time, actually.
He may have lost a couple of attempts there. It's so frustrating when you feel like in these conditions you're getting that much closer, and then you go round one turn, you lose your back end slightly, and all of a sudden you feel like, oh, now I've got to do it all again. I've lost 2 or 3 tenths. So you come into Hans hairpin one more time. He's very consistent, Johnson. He's braking on the inside line and then moving to the outside to go around the outside of the corner. What's the lap time now? What's the gap? It's 1.08 seconds. So he's 0.8 further back than he was last time. Just can't seem to get inside half a second.
That's 0.08 of a second further back than he was the previous lap. That is less time than it takes to wink. That is just how close it is in the battle with these top 3 drivers. Johnson, Turner and Thomas Martin still there in the top 3. They've been there for a while. The 4th man in is James Moorcroft in the 21 as he continues on his way. 5th position at the moment is Spencer Barrow in the 32. But they're so far behind these 3, those 2. They are literally going to be racing for 4th and 5th position and not much else.
He's in a great rhythm, James Johnson, here, I have to say. He just is not looking behind. He's just in a fine rhythm. He's braking and turning in the same place. He's taking that inside line on that turn, yet takes the outside line round Hans hairpin. But he seems to know where the grip is, where he's comfortable. He's got this rhythm going and he's increased the gap again, 1.92 seconds now. Yeah,
James Johnson, for me, has got this one on a silver platter. It's about whether he makes the mistake or not.
Can I just remind you, Jake, the last time you said that was at Tattershall, won the Mini Bikes Championship.
Yes.
What happened?
Yeah, that's true.
The guy leading the race went off.
That's very true. And I did say earlier on about Matty Isaacs, looked like he had the victory, and boom, he spun it at the S's and has now become the easiest easiest joke to tell in the Mirror Art UK paddock. Anyway, we'll move on. The number 6, James Johnson, still controlling the pace. He's just getting on with the job. He's now got traffic to deal with, though.
Oh, this is going to be huge. Look at these back markers lining up in front of Johnson. That is not, at this stage, what he wants to see, because he's going to have their rooster tails. The rain spraying up into his helmet. Back marker in front. Can he get past him?
It's Jordan Brightman West who made it through from the repechage. He gets through. That's all right. I was worried there he was going to go off the circuit, but that is just James Johnson's line. Next up to go try and get past is actually Ben Gilbert, who was 5th in the repechage.
0.7. Closed by 0.7 as Turner there. It's down to 1.24 the gap.
That's what the back markers do, but the trouble is, of course, now that Johnson's got through, Charlie Turner's got to do exactly the same thing and potentially lose exactly the same amount of time.
That's exactly right. He's got a back marker right in front of him there, Turner. Wessex champion is still there in 3rd place, Thomas Martin.
Well, this is the tricky thing, of course, because the back markers are in even more of a precarious situation than they were earlier on, as that's Gilbert in the 88. Battling away there, I believe, with the 23 of Oliver Holden, who was 2nd in the repechage earlier on. Look, Johnson really struggling now to get through, but there's not a lot the back markers can do about this, because obviously they've got spray to contend with themselves. They've got to try and keep their cart on the racing line. It's tougher in these conditions for the back markers to get out of the way and surrender the track position than it would be in the dry.
It looks like the race leader there lost a bit of time getting through the first of the back
Hand
markers.
in the air.
Yeah, he's saying to them, get the blue flags out. We need to get these guys out of the way. He lost a bit of time, but then, as you say, Jake, the man in 2nd place, Charlie Turner, then he had to make his way past, and he lost a bit of time following that. So what's the gap now? I think it's around about the same, 1.2, 1.3 seconds as things stand.
And they've got to be very careful, of course, because the man in 3rd position, Thomas Martin, is not a million miles away. Look, there he is. So he's not far off these 2. If they get really badly held up, Martin could end up in 2nd position, and who knows, could even get the victory here. He's done very well to stay with these guys.
Yeah, Charlie Turner knows in these conditions with the back markers in front, that's his best opportunity. for the race leader to get held up by a back marker and for him to get past him very quickly. Here's an example, but it's Charlie Turner that's been held up here. You don't want to get held up there. That's a bad spot through the S's. That can slow you up and lose you at least a tenth or two.
Right, here's Kieran Gifford running in the line of drivers trying to close up on the top 5. So Kieran Gifford doing his best to try and work his way through. Look, Ben Gilbert has now got out of the way. There's James Johnson. The next man to try and lap is the 37. That's Alex Forshaw.
Hand in the air again. He's saying to the marshals, get those blue flags out.
Yeah, he's got, Alex Forshaw's got the Mark Webber tribute helmet, of course, as he goes through. But yes, hands in the air. Will you get those blue flags out, guys? We can't see where we're going at the best of times, and these slow pokes are not moving over. That is what James Johnson is saying.
Yeah, but he's got past pretty much all of the traffic now. There's still some back markers going to be in the way, but the vast majority are now out of the way. And this is what he wants to see. He doesn't want to see lots of back markers. He doesn't want to see any more, because A, they're getting in the way, and B, they're throwing up the water into his helmet, so it's making it more difficult for him to see. Charlie Turner now has only got James Johnson in front of him, but look at the gap. What is it? It's over. That's 2 seconds.
Well, this is a precarious position as well for the back markers to be in, because if we were in the dry, they would not be back markers, would they? They would only be about 5-6 seconds behind the leaders, and we'd have a massive long train. That's how close this championship is and in this battle. So it's a difficult situation for the back markers to be in, because they're not used to being back markers at this level. Even the drivers in the repechage are not that slow compared to the leaders up in front. So it's a tricky situation for those who are being lapped to be in, because they're not used to being lapped.
Yeah, these conditions are, well, you can see, absolutely torrential. Very, very difficult conditions, and a lot of it comes down to the setup on the kart. You've got the wrong tyre pressures. You know, some of these drivers will be running possibly 6 to 10 pound difference in tyre pressures than others, and that can make a huge difference.
Right, Johnson's got a queue of karts in front of him developing now. He's got 2 of them immediately up the road.
This is Charlie Turner's only chance here, Jake, I think.
It's the 89 in front. That is Christian Nardone, who managed to get through, of course, through the repechage. But he's in a little bit of a battle of his own, so he may not necessarily be too aware of the fact that James Johnson is closing up. He may even think in this spray it's a rival, so he may not be too compliant. So this is going to be a difficult problem for Johnson if he can't get through. Turner is not far behind him. Look, there he is. He looks back to see where Turner is so that he can try and pick the best line to go through. We're on the last lap. If it's ever going to go wrong for Johnson now, it's here, because he's got 2 or 3 karts in front of him. Oh, get out of the way! That was a very scary moment.
That was very close, but I think he's done enough.
It'll just be okay, I think, for James Johnson. He's going to have his line compromised, though. He's got to go to the inside line. He deals with it beautifully as the back marker goes off. But this is going to be James Johnson's for the victory. He is going to tiptoe his way through the final couple of corners. He has done enough. He has controlled the pace. He took the lead on the second lap, James Johnson, and he has never lost it since. This will be a popular victory. A ticket to the World Championships is now assured in the seniors, the O-Plate and the World Championships. And look at what that means to him. He is victorious in magnificent fashion.
That is one of the best drives of the last few seasons, Jake. To lead the race in these conditions early on and to maintain the gap, that is a fantastic drive. And as you say, one of the more popular characters in the paddock. Everybody will be very happy for James Johnson after the World Championships. James, massive prize for you. I know it means a lot. Just talk us through the race, though.
Well, basically, it was dry all day, dry all weekend. Never raced the track in the wet before. Didn't know what to expect at all, sort of thing. I mean, went out there expecting to come in the top 3. Went out there, tyres worked really, really well. Just stayed on it all race really well, kept the gap, and just that was it, really.
And the gap you got early pretty much stayed consistent throughout, didn't it? But were you thinking they were going to close you down at some point? At one point, they looked like they might, but then you just seemed to keep on the gas and just maintain the gap.
Well, I think the main opposition I would have thought would be Charlie Turner, and he finished second. And I thought at one point he was catching me a little bit, but the gap I got at the start was enough to hold, and I held it quite well, quite well. So I'm really, really pleased.
Okay, well, congratulations and good luck at the World Championships. We wish you well.
Thank you very much. I'll try my hardest. Thank you.
Well respected and well liked throughout the paddock, James Johnson, an example of a nice guy that finished first today. We wish him well in his efforts to bring that World Championship home. That's all from Clay Pigeon this weekend. We'll be bringing you more from the circuit next year. We'll see you then.